I've got to ask, what alternate universe are they living in? Bill Maher's panel was really let down by reporter Kara Swisher when she tried to indict the current administration as somehow cracking down on the mainstream media just because of Trump's lawsuits. But this is a narrative we can easily rip apart, so take a look at what she said before I show you the real picture.
According to the people who study this, out of 180 countries, America has slipped down to 57, so we're middle of the pack as far as freedom of the press goes. What do you think about that?
Well, not good, because it's our First Amendment, and it's first, and so it should be important in this country. These assaults, these lawsuits and everything else, much of them nuisance lawsuits, are really problematic.
You mean like against 60 Minutes?
60 Minutes, which it looks like they're going to pay in some way to get that deal done. That feels like paper play all over the place. But all of them, even Facebook paying Trump that money for throwing him off the platform, or any of these things that are happening around the country. It's a real problem, and it's very chilling. It's not to say that press doesn't make mistakes, because they do all the time. But when it's done and they correct it really quickly, the New York Times just did win its case with Sarah Palin.
Yes,
a very good sign. And they made a mistake. They admitted a mistake. They apologized for a mistake. They corrected the mistake. And they got better, presumably. And so I think that's where we should be. But there is a real movement to chill the press through legal means.
Notice how they are never specific about how that's even true? So let me walk you through what's actually happening with the cases that Kara Swisher simply glossed over, hoping the audience wouldn't notice. Before I do, though, be sure to subscribe to Millionaire Mentor and hit the notification bell, because we're the antidote to the lies and spin of the mainstream media. Now let's take a look at Trump's $20 billion lawsuit against 60 Minutes for an alleged deceptive editing of their Kamala Harris interview, where he claims they were stitching answers to questions to make her look better. It's precisely that case that 60 Minutes and CBS wants to nip in the bud with a settlement for a reported $20 million, much like the settlement that ABC made with Donald Trump just a few months ago. And all of that is happening at the same time that an administration that largely organized and communicated through the world of independent and online media is also finally giving them the kinds of reporting access to the halls of power that was previously just reserved for the MSM. Though what Bill said next reeks of a kind of condescension that tells you he still doesn't understand what is causing this drop in trust in the media to begin with.
Well, they did put somebody in the press room from social media. I read this week.
Tim Pool, or one of them.
One of them, and these are very young people, and one of them had once asked the question, has the moon disappeared?
Has it?
Now, we've had eclipse before.
Yeah. So. No, those are just cheerleaders. Those are cheerleaders, and it's kind of.
I know.
I've applied to be in that room, and Carolyn Levitt in her Tracy Flickness has not allowed me to be there.
Tracy Flick.
Isn't that a curious pattern that's not a word said about the many examples of systemic suppression by the media, particularly with Hunter Biden's laptop from hell or the cover-up of Joe Biden's senility in office? Most of these media empires aren't willing to take up the legal challenge and would rather just pay up so they don't have to air more dirty laundry in a full trial. Because remember, if a lawsuit like this actually did end up in the courts, there's a lot more insider communication, internal emails, memos, and editorial policies that will come out and potentially destroy whatever credibility these media networks have left. And it's very telling that even the former chief at 60 Minutes, Bill Owens, resigned last week, citing a lack of independence since Paramount was allegedly starting to exert control over the programming before their expected corporate manager. That tells you how, for the mainstream corporate media, it has always been about the money first, and that's what's resulted in massive decline of their public trust over the last few years.
Look, I don't think the press has been fair in so many other places. You can look at certain things they made up. Look what the White House Correspondents' Dinner, who won the award this time? The one reporter who got up and reported that Biden wasn't mentally all there when they all hid it the entire time. So there's a reason why we have been dropping. It all started after the Pentagon Papers and others, whether people put trust in this. And you've got the internet today, you've got more people bringing stuff out. I just have a hard belief of things that I read of what had transpired in a meeting I've been in And I do think it's pretty tainted one way. So that's why you see the pendulum swing the other way.
All the strength is on the right now. The energy is in right-wing media right now, whether it's small podcasters or bigger podcasters or small media sites and stuff like
what's
that.
interesting for the media, you think these Sunday shows are all important?
No.
More people listen to Joe Rogan on a podcast or in your
although
podcast.
he's slipping to Midas, to the Midas group, which is great.
Which is good, which is the way it should be. Let people gather whatever information they can out there, and you should be able to challenge it.
There
but
still
the First
should be
Amendment right
standards
you want.
of facts that are very clear.
But it's also newspapers today can't afford to do it. You've got to have your news so fast and so rapidly, so you don't have the editors, you don't have the ability to check. So people should be able to question what goes on.
Did you listen to Kara Swisher unironically and snobbishly talk about standards of facts for alternative media? I mean, how tone-deaf can you even be that the mainstream media lost all of its credibility long before it could ever have that moral ground to lecture in the first place? In fact, perhaps this election has shown that even the phrasing is no longer accurate, because the mainstream media is not even the mainstream anymore. It's just a dying corporate media. I mean, how long are you going to call CNN Top Show with Abby Phillips the mainstream media when it gets around 600,000 viewers a month, and Joe Rogan the alternative media with 15 million listeners a month? That shift has already long happened, and it's time we start using the right terms. Corporate versus independent media, and whether they admit it or not, that's precisely why even people like Bill Maher have started a podcast on the side, knowing that the days of their corporate media glory are numbered unless they make that successful pivot. Speaking of which, Kevin McCarthy mentioned something which I have to show you when Alex Thompson from Axios said it like it is to a room full of legacy media members for not challenging the government over the cover-up of Joe Biden's health in office.
One serious note. To my bones, I believe that reporting and the White House Correspondents Association is as necessary as ever. President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows. I say this because acknowledging errors builds trust, and being defensive about them further erodes it. We should have done better. I believe our mission is vital in a world where people are struggling to figure out what's true, and people with power are not telling the truth.
I don't know if that's enough to save their reputation, but it's still a reality check to people that still think the legacy media is driven by anything above their own corporate interests. But you tell me what you think we'll see in the next 4 years, because these first 4 months have already accelerated the realignment of America's media landscape.